In last video, we covered how Chassidus comes and answers the questions that Kabbalah introduced about Hashem. In these next few lessons, we're going to cover how does Chassidus actually accomplish this. And in order to understand that, we need to understand a little bit more about Chakira and Kabbalah, about philosophy and Kabbalah, and we need to understand how those subjects work. Obviously, Chakira and Kabbalah are very two different things. Kabbalah is part of Torah and Chakira is not. But we need to understand how those subjects work in order for us to really appreciate how Chassidus does what it does. So let's begin. Whenever we have something that we want to pick up, let's talk about physical objects. If let's say you have a table in your dining room that you need to pick up. In order to pick up any physical item, one of the prerequisite is obviously you need to have the strength to do it. But the other thing what we need is we need to have edges. We need to have a handle. We need to have a way how to pick up the thing. Just like a cup has a handle to it, it makes it easier for us to hold. So too, every single item has edges. And because of the edges, the limitations of the size or shape of the item, this allows us to pick it up and to move it from place to place. The same thing comes to ideas. In order for us to understand an idea can't be unlimited. If the idea is unlimited, we'd never be able to grasp it because there's no borders to this idea. So every idea has a limitation to it. For example, an idea in mathematics might talk about a specific thing. For example, addition or subtraction has a certain limitations. Addition is about addition and subtraction is about subtraction. It's not interchangeable. They're each a specific idea. Obviously, they're connected in certain ways, but they have limitations. And because of those limitations, we are able to hold them, so to speak, in a figurative way in our mind. Every idea works this way. Now, just like ideas work this way, subjects also work that way. Mathematics is a subject, and Chakira is a subject, and each subject has its own limitations, its own set of rules, which allow us to grasp ideas within those subjects, or to be able to grasp the subject as a whole. So what is Chakira's edges? What is Chakira's handles? How does Chakira work? Chakira works in a very, very simple way. Chakira says that things are true, ideas are true only if you can prove them. Now, what are the rules for proving? So there are different complex details about this, but on a basic level, the idea of proving is something that I can see, something that I can feel, or not necessarily just feel, but something that I can experience in a tangible way that I can show someone else. So something that I can see, I can hear, I can taste. These are things that I can physically somehow entertain or physically experience and share that experience with someone else. That essentially is something that's provable. Because if it's just something obviously that I can experience but no one else can, then it's not necessarily so provable because you can't show it to someone else. So one of the things is that you have to be able to show it to someone else. But the issue essentially is that Chakira believes that in order for anything to be true, you need to be able to prove it. As long as you can prove the idea, then the idea is true. Now, because of this, Chakira is limited in their understanding of Hashem, of the Eibishter. Why? Because in order for Chakira to prove Hashem, it can only do so with things that we can see. So how essentially does Chakira prove that Hashem exists? How from a philosophy perspective does the Rambam, Reb Sadia Gaon, and people, Chachamim like him, prove that Hashem exists in a philosophy framework within the rules and the edges of philosophy? Really simple. The proof is that we exist. Since we are creations, we have to come from somewhere. Right? We're obviously skipping all the details of getting to that answer and to that realization, which are many, many pages, but it could be read in the Moreh Nevuchim and other Sfarim that were written by the Rambam or Sadia Gaon. But essentially the answer is that being the fact that we exist, Hashem exists. Because we are creations, there has to be a creator. That proves to us that Hashem exists. Now, what kind of information do we know about Hashem? We essentially don't know anything about Hashem. But we can use things in the world to prove what Hashem is. Meaning to say, from the things that Hashem created, we can see what Hashem is. For example, we can say that Hashem is wise. How can we see that Hashem is wise? Because He created wisdom. So we can see that Hashem is wise. So you see from a Chakira perspective, from a Chakira subject, from philosophy, the limitations of understanding Hashem is from things that we can prove, things that we can see in this world. Anything that we can see, we can attribute to Hashem. And we can attribute to Him and explain about Him. But anything that's not in this world, we cannot prove about Hashem. So the highest thing that philosophy believes exists is seichel, is understanding is intellect. There's different levels of things in this world, and the highest level, according to philosophy, is intellect, because that is what's used to prove everything. We cannot prove anything without intellect. That's the highest form. Or there's some more to that, but in short, that's what really philosophy believes. And so therefore, the highest thing that we can attribute to Hashem from a philosophy perspective is intellect. In the next video, we will learn what is the edges to Kabbalah, and how does Kabbalah work and treat Hashem, and how can Kabbalah explain to us more things about Hashem.